Welcome to Suman iTTV, India's first and only exclusive IT channel truly dedicated to students, employees, and software professionals, where you can learn, unlearn new things, upgrade your skill set, educate, and empower yourself in IT enabled services. వెల్కమ్ టు సుమన్ ఐటీటీవీ టెక్ టాక్స్. ఇప్పటి వరకు మనం ఏఆర్ గురించి, విఆర్ గురించి, ఏఐ ఇట్లా డిఫరెంట్ టాపిక్స్ మీద మనం సిఇఓల్ని, ఫౌండర్ని వాళ్ళందరినీ కలిసాం. సో అసలు ఇప్పుడు మెడికల్ టెక్నాలజీలో ఏం జరుగుతుంది, మెడికల్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఏంటి, ఓన్లీ డాక్టర్స్ మాత్రమేనా, లేకపోతే అసలు మెడికల్ ప్రొఫెషనల్స్ వాళ్ళకి ఏమేమి కోర్సెస్ ఉన్నాయి, వీటన్నిటి గురించి మనతో మాట్లాడడానికి ఈరోజు మెడ్వర్సిటీ ఫౌండర్ జైదీప్ ఉన్నారు. ఆయన అడిగి మరిన్ని వివరాలు తెలుసుకుందాం మనం. Hello Jaideep, how are you? Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much, Suman. It's a pleasure to be here. Look forward to spending some time with you today.
Sure. So what it is Medvarsity, and as a founder, when it is started, and what type of courses you are giving in this?
Medvarsity is an online medical education company. We focus on enabling doctors to become better at this specific skill area. So essentially our goal and vision is, when you and I visit a hospital today, we are not sure if the quality of care that is going to be provided to us is going to be high or not. In fact, it is known in India, for example, to get high quality of care, you should either be wealthy or you should be connected. If you're connected, you know which doctor you're seeing. If you're wealthy, you can afford the best quality of care. Medvarsity's vision and purpose is, if you and I step into a hospital, it shouldn't matter who's treating us. We should be all able to get the equal quality of care, because the quality of care that we get determines the quality of life that we lead subsequently. And that's essentially what Medvarsity's focus is. We are now in our second iteration. It was originally founded by Dr. Pratap Reddy, who's the chairman of Apollo Hospital Group. And then in 2016, I took over the company. And now, so the Apollo, Dr. Pratap Reddy and his family are my board members and my shareholders in my company. And today, Medvarsity is one of the largest healthcare education brands globally. We have trained over 500,000 doctors around the world. Today in India, 1 in 3 doctors is a Medvarsity student. We opened our office in UAE 18 months ago, and 1 in 2 doctors in the UAE is Medvarsity student. Wow. Today we've got offices in India, in Bangladesh, in UAE, in Saudi Arabia, UK, and in the US.
And what kind of education they are getting in the Medvarsity?
So ideally, doctors come to us after they have finished their undergraduation program, and when they want to equip themselves on better clinical skill areas. So for example, if you've done your MBBS, let me give you a statistic. 95% of children are diagnosed with diabetes in the emergency room, because most doctors are not trained to identify diabetes as a disease condition in children. Now, when a child is brought into the emergency room, either hypoglycemic or because they've had other injuries, or they've had a fall or they have fever, and they do a blood profile, they suddenly discover that the child has got diabetes. Now, keep in mind, diabetes has largely been considered an adult disease earlier, typically for people over the age of 40 or a certain physical disposition, being overweight or sedentary lifestyle, etc. But today, India leads the world as a diabetic capital of the world. But we have only 12,000 endocrinologists for a population of 1.4 billion Indians. You and I all have family members that are diabetic, or know people who are suffering from diabetes. If you and I go to a hospital and we want the doctor to treat us, he or she should know and understand how it's diagnosed, how it's managed, how quality of care is delivered. So a student, a young doctor would come to us and take a program on that. But okay, our audience is not only young doctors. Over the last 4 years, we've discovered a lot of doctors from 45 to 60 years of age also come to us later in their clinical careers, when they realize they've become experts in one clinical area, but now they want to expand their clinical practice in other areas because comorbidities happen. So those are some of the things that Medvarsity solves.
You have seen in these few years so many doctors and different corporate hospitals also. Did you observe anything, how the corporate hospitals emerging in the new technologies and how it is working, whether any other departments other than the doctors, what are the other departments and how they are going to get the training for this one?
It's a very relevant question, Simi. If you look at the last 15 years of healthcare growth in India, 15 years ago, bulk of the hospital groups in India used to be either government owned or if they were private, were largely promoter driven. So that means a skilled doctor who was invariably qualified in India, went to the US or went to UK, got board certified, came back to India to help his or her fellow citizens. They would come back, they would open a corporate hospital, and they would gather other doctors around them, and they would build an organization, right, which was successful to a certain extent, but which also meant that that hospital, because it's built on clinical expertise only, never excelled as a business.
Okay.
Now, to build a business, you need complementary skills. To build a business, you not only require technical competence. When I say technical, in this case, I'm talking about medical technical competence. To build a business, you need financial competence, you need management competence, you need quality competence, you need HR competence, you need marketing competence, you need IT technology infrastructure
Typically, it's
competence.
a business in the medical
It is a
side.
business.
Yeah.
It is a business, right? Apollo Hospital Group is a 88,000 crore market capital group. Max Hospital Group is 96,000 crore capitalization. Manipal Group is 63,000 crore capitalization. These are very large conglomerates. These organizations and similar organizations that are scaling up are not built just by the medical doctors, but this very large team of professionals representing almost all gamut of professions that you would see in a Pepsi or in a Maruti or in a Infosys. All those professional skills are required today to run a successful organization.
So simply you're talking about only not into the this corporate sectors where the all software employees are IT. These
That's
people
right.
are thinking there are so many opportunities in other fields also you're talking, right?
Absolutely. And that's a very, very relevant point, Simin. And I think Suman iTTV's focus is also to a large portion of these young graduates who are struggling with making career decisions. And I think our own journey of evolution at Medvarsity has been that we have not been able to find enough youngsters who come from non-healthcare background interested in healthcare.
Okay.
Today, when a hospital scales up, when it opens a new center, say, for example, a hospital which has raised a lot of funding is now looking at opening its new offices in Nellore or in Vijayawada or in Rajahmundry. They not only require clinical leaders, they require everything to run the hospital. Look at it as any corporate entity. Are there enough young graduates who are equipping themselves to learn more about healthcare, to understand how their skills can map to this industry? I think that's a blind spot, if addressed, can give not only career opportunities for a lot of young people, but also faster acceleration for a lot of healthcare hospital groups.
So, see, when you are saying non-technical people also, or the students, whoever want to come into the medical side, health side, so what they need to study and what kind of technical knowledge they need to get into the health section.
So let me give you a simple example, right? For all of your viewers who are coming from a software development, technology, engineering background, right? I'm just going to use the example of a hospital. Say, for example, Apollo Hospital Group sees about 5 million patients a month. That's 5 million patient records being created every month.
Yeah.
That's 5 million patient histories being tracked. There's 5 million patient treatment strategies being documented. That's 5 million people who get cured and go back to higher quality of life. Now, all of that data is recorded, sitting in a repository, right? Now you need data scientists, you need data analysts, you need software programmers, you need information technology specialists, you need IT infrastructure owners, you need somebody who's able to build large ERP systems to make sense of that data. Otherwise, that data is data, right? And remember, Apollo Hospital Group, just as an example, is a 45-year-old hospital. It has a lot of these records going back 45 years in paper form. Right? Now, as we look at the next 10 years of healthcare, in fact, as we look at the next 5 years of healthcare, we will see deep integration of AI in healthcare happening.
Yeah, I'm hearing that.
Right?
Yeah.
You and I are likely to pick up our phone and the system will do a self-diagnosis, right? It'll look at vast volumes of data, terabytes of data, predict how many other patients have gone through the similar disease condition. It'll look at our gene pool and our gene composition, and then create a personalized medication plan that is only for you and I, right? And then it will send it to a doctor for approval, because ultimately The human being still has to take a decision on another human being's life, right? But to do all of this is this large network of software engineers, technologists, data analysts, data scientists, programmers, coders, all of them are required.
So the people who are worrying about their jobs, the recession is coming, and they have to shift their mind.
They have to move the focus, right? It is not the hospitality industry. It's not the automobile industry. It is not. I mean, there are only two industries in this world that are recession-proof, right? One is healthcare, and the second is weapon industry, right? Unfortunately, in India, the weapon industry is highly regulated. The only industry that is not regulated as heavily as the weapon industry in India is the healthcare industry, and it's the only recession-proof industry in the world. Liquor industry also is, but I'm not sure if we can talk about the liquor industry.
No. So, the already who have gone through so many different courses after their MBBS or into the healthcare industry, how they can get into the newer technologies?
So there is a conscious investment, right, that an individual needs to make. And I think our own experience, and this is a challenge that I ask all of my colleagues and all of my peers and people that I meet: how often do we invest consciously in upskilling ourselves? Quite often we believe after the first 10 years of our career, we believe we know everything about the industry that we are part of. And rest we use language skills and smart responses to get away with, right? But the pace of change that is happening in the world is so fast. Unless each one of us continuously invest in upskilling ourselves, we will all become irrelevant very quickly. We're sitting in the studio of this beautiful studio of Suman TV. Today, the amount of individuals who are producing independent content as compared to an organization like Suman TV is far higher. Technology has enabled individuals to produce content at far richer volumes than it was 10, 15 years ago. For Suman TV to stay relevant, it has to invite audience like us and other leaders to talk about it. So in every profession. So for any professional today, whether you're a healthcare professional or you're in technology or anything else, look at growth areas where the world is going to grow into. Identify what skills you don't have and that industry requires. Figure out who can help you upskill that better and invest that time seriously in doing that upskilling. Otherwise, we'll all be irrelevant.
Because you have seen a lot of new technology devices coming into the health sector also. So how much it is relevant to the human being? Is it necessity to keep all the devices technically in the hospitals?
So every hospital, anywhere in the world, right? And I'm just telling you why technology is relevant, right? Every hospital around the world has two significant causes for fatality in a hospital. Two primary reasons why a patient ends up either getting worse or losing their life in a hospital, right? One is called hospital-acquired infection. When you and I go to a hospital, we've gone through this thing, maybe the hospital wasn't clean enough, the doctor or nurse treating us or the instruments that they used were not sanitized properly. So we acquire, or the other patient, we got an infection from them. There's a hospital-acquired infection. That means I came into the hospital and acquired a new infection from the hospital, right? The second reason why a lot of fatalities happen is falls in hospital. You're in your hospital bed, you've gone through a complex surgery, you tried to do something, you fell off the bed, right? You were walking in, there wasn't proper assistance provided, you fell and the injury became worse. So that's the second leading cause of fatalities. Actual fatalities during medical procedures is very, very less, right? Okay. Now, how can a hospital reduce these two incidences? In an ideal hospital, if I have a small device that is stuck onto my chest, which is monitoring me 24/7, sending all the information down to all the connected devices, every time I move, every time my blood pressure goes up or my temperature goes up or anything else happens to me physically, this data is being sent to the relevant experts. A connected hospital is the future to this world. Today, most leading hospitals, in fact, run connected ICUs. The key doctors actually sit in completely different cities, and you as a patient are sitting there completely monitored by devices only, right? Which also means whether you're in Tinsukia or whether you're in Jabalpur or whether you're in Pondicherry, you can still access the best care of a doctor who's
So
sitting
you
in.
feel this is accuracy is more than the human being?
See, any digital device measures accuracy much higher than a human can. You remember those glass thermometers, right?
Yeah,
Where you hold up to the
yeah.
and look at the mercury level. How accurate is that compared to a laser temperature sensor, right? Now, if you're a child, imagine, you're a young mother, your child is born prematurely, sitting in a neonatal ICU, right? A temperature variation of 0.5 degrees can mean life and death to that child. But if you stick a mercury thermometer and you look it up in the sun or light to see whether it's 0.5, it's not going to reflect that accuracy. Quality of care starts improving. It's like sports, right? Earlier, 9.46 seconds was fine enough to be the fastest person on earth, right? But now it's down to 0.001 second.
Okay.
So I think technology is here to stay in healthcare or in any industry. The largest amount of innovation we'll see using technologies in healthcare. Most of the big brands, including Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, are investing very heavily in healthcare. It's their core focus area.
So can you please mention few of the names to the students, whoever is watching this episode, especially to what they need to learn to come into the health sector other than their graduation certificates, especially for whatever it is possible in the healthcare sector?
Definitely, I mean, most large hospital groups and healthcare systems will deploy large ERPs, whether it's SAP or whether it is Oracle Cerner or Oracle CRM systems or Microsoft CRM systems. Most large hospitals will deploy a custom version of their ERP solution. Definitely, there's a large ecosystem of young professionals who can look at how they want to prepare themselves for deployment of these ERP platforms, learn specific tech stack that comes from these large enterprises. At the more integral development side of the world, hospitals generate gigabytes of information every single day. All of this information needs to be processed at real time, transcribed, translated. So there is opportunities for data scientists, big data analysts.
Data secure.
Cyber security is a big focus area. HIPAA and other information security in healthcare is very, very critical because the patient's confidentiality is paramount. And therefore, how are you protecting your IT infrastructure? So CIOs are going to grow in this industry. Most hospitals today don't have a CIO, except for the 4 top large hospitals in the country. Most hospitals don't have a chief information officer or a chief technology officer, but that's going to change over the next few years. So definitely a large...
So this one, you mean it's going to create more new jobs?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think most hospitals and healthcare systems struggle when they put out job posts. They don't get enough people from outside the industry applying for the jobs because not many people from outside the industry have learned about the healthcare industry. So today what is happening is a young doctor does a few programs on data science and then tries to become... there's a huge opportunity for a young engineer who's graduated with background in data science to learn about the healthcare ecosystem. IIT Madras runs some wonderful programs on their platform, which is free for most of our young colleagues out there. Swayam Plus, which was launched by the Ministry of Education, in fact, a lot of Medvarsity courses are there on Swayam Plus, is again a free platform for healthcare for all professionals to upskill themselves. Today, about 1.4 crore Indians sit on Swayam Plus as a platform, and it's free to everybody. You don't even have to spend a single rupee. Medvarsity has about 25, 30 odd programs of our own on that platform. I think one is young professionals to leverage what is available free. And then once they identify what is the one thing that they want to excel in, find a partner who can give them the best knowledge. But also that partner should have great industry connect. Because education cannot happen separately from industry. Yeah, the reason why India produces the largest number of engineers, but 80% of them are unemployable, is because our engineering institutions are completely disconnected with the real world. Right. Okay. So find a partner. When you decide to invest your money, find a partner who has close connect with the industry, because that partner will train you on what the industry needs and not what was dictated 10, 15 years ago.
And Jaideep, what about the people who are doing the coding? Coding is the biggest thing in the globally. Now the new emerging technologies are coming, AI and ML and Gen AI, so many things. So what will happen to these people? Is coding is going to be continue or any other new things are coming in this?
So, Simi, I will not comment specifically on coding, but let me give a insight to our friends who are going to watch this video. With the emergence of generative AI, most tasks that are repetitive in nature can be easily replaced by the generative AI function. Uh, we are using it actively at Medvarsity. Our customer support function, for example, is largely automated. Our sales function, compared to a year ago, is 30% automated. We've reduced our headcount across all of those departments. Medical coding or similar transcription, medical transcription or similar skill levels, which are usually used for translating what a human wants to say into a computer format, are repetitive in nature. Therefore, provide the ideal environment for AI and technology to take its place. It's cheaper for an institution to use it. I invest in the technology once and then I eliminate 5,000 people.
And what will happen to those people? What they need to learn to secure their jobs?
I think it's very important for all of us. And I'm saying this is for all of us, not only for our friends who are coming from medical coding background. I think it's very important for all of us to keep an eye on the obsolescence date of our career. All of our careers will become obsolete at one point of time if we don't reinvent ourselves, right? And it doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur, you're a successful businessman, or you're starting your journey. Knowing your obsolescence date is very important, and continuing to reinvent yourself is critical. You've done a career transformation yourself from where you were coming from. You've had to reinvent yourself to fit in, and so do our colleagues who are going to be watching these videos. I'm a technologist. 20 years ago, my first company I started, we were doing finite element analysis for high-rise buildings on how they deal with stress during high weather conditions, which got replaced by other technology tools. I've continued to reinvent myself across different companies that I founded. I think whether you're today in medical coding or medical transcription or any other segment, recognize the expiry date of your profession or your industry. Mm-hmm. Keep that in mind.
Ahead, we need to think
we
about
have
that.
To. Mm-hmm. We have to. Otherwise, we are only thinking ahead about our EMIs. Or about the next iPhone I want to buy, or the next motorcycle I want to buy, or the next milestone that is. But we don't recognize the expiry date of our profession or our industry. And today, more than ever, generative AI is supposed to be the most transformative change that's going to happen to humanity ever since electricity was invented. That's how transformational this is going to be. So if we don't keep an eye out on our expiry date, we might have nothing to do as we go towards our expiry.
I heard so many things about into the new technology in the healthcare. One thing is metaverse also. How it is going to work in the metaverse? Can you please give a few of the examples or anything?
So metaverse is very exciting and has been spoken about for the last 15 years now, right? In fact, Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg are famous for having changed the organization's direction completely by renaming his company from Facebook to Meta. Unfortunately, one of the biggest limitations of Meta or metaverse is that it is still not as accessible as a smartphone is to all of us, right? And any technology, the reason why printing press changed the way education happened, because a printing press could make sure that that book that you and I could read out of is available everywhere in the world, right? The reason why cell phones, India today has 2 cell phones for every human, as compared to less than 1 for every 10 humans in India, right? Because cell phones are both affordable, cheap, and accessible around the world. Transformation of humanity will only happen through accessible technology, not niche technology. Not all of us drive a Tesla, but all of us drive a fuel-injected car, right? All of us can afford a second-hand 2-wheeler or a 4-wheeler, right? Tesla will not change the world. Accessible infrastructure will change the world, right?
Okay.
And therefore, Meta will continue to remain one of those fringe things. And if you see today, even Facebook or Meta, as they like to call themselves, have done a complete pivot away from Meta into AI. right? Everything that is focused on Instagram or on WhatsApp or on Facebook is around AI generated imaging, AI generated
Yeah.
content. They're not focusing on selling you their Oculus
Yeah.
glasses, right? Apple, which entered the meta race very late with Apple Vision Pro last year, have now discontinued their plan for Vision Pro 2 because they're going back to the drawing board to make it insanely more affordable or exit the business. The reality is technology has to solve a human problem.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's not solving a human problem, it's a toy,
Yeah.
right? And toys cannot transform Earth.
You're saying students should think about other industries other than the software industry,
Yeah.
other than the any like we have n number of courses or n number of opportunities to get into the, and they should not think about the recession and they should not worry about that one, right? You're saying.
Yeah.
But most of the people, they don't know how to find these type of resources, how they are getting, where they are getting. And can you please give some of the names how they can get
Okay.
into this thing?
I think for anybody out there, as long as you remember what your expiry date of your profession is, you need only 2 tools today, and both of them are free, right? Or 3 tools that you will need,
What are
and
they?
all 3 are free,
Okay.
right? Google, YouTube, and ChatGPT.
Okay.
There is not a problem today. The only reason for not knowing what you want to do is because you choose to be ignorant. Today, you have got, in Suman TV itself, in your other channels, you've got grandmothers sitting in villages talking to the world about how they prepare a dish, or a craftsman who's taking his craft to the rest of the world. Technology,
So because they upgraded themselves.
they upgraded themselves, right? They don't need to learn coding, but they need to know that their mouthpiece is no longer just that one
At
village
least they're
square.
taking help from
That's
some
right.
other.
That's
Yeah.
right. And YouTube, Google, and ChatGPT are free. They both have paid accounts also, but they're all free. And I think if I have to learn anything about my industry and what I should upskill myself in, to a certain, I can use all of this free infrastructure to do it.
Okay.
Beyond that, I might have to choose to pay. And there are thousands of players out there.
In health industry, if anybody wants to be an entrepreneur, what is your suggestion or guidance to that people?
It's a very so healthcare is going, in India specifically, going through a very pioneering growth area. Think of 1980s and India IT industry when Infosys was there, just starting, and HCL was just starting, and TCS was just starting, and you had thousands of stories of young companies that would go up and become these global behemoths, right? And today, Infosys, TCS, HCL, NIT Technologies, all of them are global lighthouses about innovation and entrepreneurship from India, right? Healthcare is going through that evolutionary phase today. India does have the highest pool of doctors and technically qualified professionals, right? For an entrepreneur who's got an idea in healthcare, think about the dream team that you need to build to solve the problem for the world. The beauty of healthcare also is if you solve it for India, you can potentially solve it for the world. Human beings are the same everywhere in the world. We all have the same organs. We all have the same disease conditions. How we manage it might be different, but if you're able to solve it for one region, taking it globally is
we
easier.
can take it for a globally.
It is easier, right?
Irrespective of the languages and
Absolutely,
each and
absolutely.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be a doctor to be a founder. You don't need to be I'm a commerce graduate, right? I've not done a postgraduate, but today I run the largest healthcare education company in the world, right? It doesn't matter. You identify a problem, surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, right? People who can help you make better decisions, people who can guide you in areas that you don't know enough. Know what you don't know.
So what are the other skills they need to get in, and they need to learn something other than the idea? Implementation, of course, but what are the other
I
things?
think what happens quite often, the reason in most cases founders fail is that because they operate with the assumption that I know everything.
Okay.
Right? I think it's important for any founder to recognize what he or she is not skilled in, and to surround himself or herself with people who can bring that skill to the table. It's impossible to be an expert at everything, right? You might have a great idea. How do you know that idea is practical? Hire an expert from that industry, or get a co-founder who's from that industry. He or she will give you enough insights and examples. Then you have a technology challenge, hire the smartest technology person you can find. If you can't afford to hire them, invite them as a co-founder into your team, right? It's about seeding that conversation. Your idea is only as good as an idea till you implement it. Most people fail in implementation because they think my idea I should share with
Yeah.
anybody.
Mhm.
The more I share it, somebody will steal my idea.
So you're saying to share the idea and
We
to
share.
get more people.
If I invite your viewers to search for us, to search for my videos, we've always shared what all we do, right? The fact that 6 years later, Medvarsity has no competition in the not only in the country but large portions of the world is because people are copying our idea but don't know why we do what we do.
So I'm asking you, what do you do? I mean, through Medvarsity.
Because I don't run a company because I want to make money. I run a company because you and I need better quality of care.
Okay.
Every company needs to have a purpose. And if the purpose is to make money, then your customers will not believe you. But if your purpose benefits the customer and the ecosystem they operate in, they will love you. They will keep coming back to you, right?
So what is
To
that?
build that love, today, when I ask my doctors at the end of the program, did you see an improvement in patient outcomes because you did a
Okay.
Medvarsity program? And when 80% of them said, yes, I've seen an improvement in patient outcomes, they're seeing value in what they do. They're seeing value in how we contribute to them. So they come back to us for the second program, for the third program, for something else, right? That connection is very difficult to build for a new entrepreneur, but you have to recognize it.
Thank you so much, Jaideep. You have given a lot of knowledge and experience through your startup or through your experience. Thanks so much for giving this knowledge.
My
with
pleasure.
us.
Thank you for having me on.
సో చూసాం కదండి, ఎస్పెషల్లీ ఇది స్టూడెంట్స్ కి ఎప్పుడు సాఫ్ట్వేర్ జాబ్స్ లోనే కాదు, సాఫ్ట్వేర్ మీరు నేర్చుకున్నా గానీ అదర్ ఫీల్డ్స్ లో కూడా మనకి ఆపర్చునిటీస్ ఉన్నాయి. రెసిషన్ వస్తుంది, వెళ్ళిపోతాయి, జాబ్స్ పోతాయి, మనం తప్పకుండా ఇలాంటి కోర్సెస్ నేర్చుకోవాలని ఏం లేదు. ఇక్కడ ఒక హెల్త్ ఇండస్ట్రీ ఉంది, హెల్త్ ఇండస్ట్రీలో కూడా ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ టెక్నాలజీని యూజ్ చేయొచ్చు అని ఈ రోజు ఈ వీడియో ద్వారా మనం తెలుసుకున్నాం. ప్లీజ్ కామెంట్ బిలో వాట్ ఎవర్ యూ ఫెల్ట్. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్.